On those two major legal stories happening now, both involving New York City, the former Marine Daniel Penny found not guilty in the subway choking case. Meanwhile, a person of interest in the fatal shooting of the UnitedHealthcare CEO being questioned in Pennsylvania. Former NYPD Lieutenant Darrin Porcher joining us now. Darrin, great to see you. Thank you for being here. What a busy time for New York crime stories. Let's start with Daniel Penny, because this case, a lot of people say, was just the DA trying to divert attention from his failure to keep a lot of citizens safe in his city. What do you think about the case and the verdict?
I applaud the verdict, and the jury got it right. We look to Daniel Penny as a person that's an innocent citizen that's actually protecting and defending people that are in that subway car that didn't have the ability to protect themselves. And I also think that this was a miscarriage of justice on the part of the prosecutor, because when the prosecutor was unable to get the initial charge of the manslaughter, that's when they reverted back and just focused on the criminally negligent homicide. If you can't get what you put out there, then drop the case totally. But this sets forth a serious precedent for us as common New Yorkers, that if you step up and assist your fellow man or woman, you will not be convicted in a court of law. And this is something that Alvin Bragg took on a personal level, and I'm so happy that we got this verdict. I can't even put it into words.
Lieutenant, I think the major point that a lot of people in New York are thinking right now is it shouldn't be up to private citizens to restrain people that shouldn't be threatening them on the subway. It should be up to law enforcement, to New York City law enforcement, and frankly, they have been unable to do the job that they were sworn in to do because of prosecutors like Bragg and because of a lot of judges that let these crazy people out in the street.
You bring up a good point. When Daniel Penny came into the precinct for questioning, he was not arrested. The police didn't feel as if they had probable cause to arrest. Probable cause is a standard to arrest. And it was clear that probable cause was not supported when Daniel Penny came in and gave his statement. However, Alvin Bragg, being an elected official, felt as if his constituents wanted blood. They wanted an arrest as it related to Daniel Penny, and that's why he drove forth the charging handle and had Daniel Penny indicted and put up against this court and literally ruined his life for months. And then finally the jury got it right. But when you speak to the police department, absolutely. When we think of the social contract affords us as common citizens protections within government. And it was apparent that I want to say the backfill of the NYPD's police officers wasn't there. The NYPD is thousands of officers in the red. And people just don't want to take this job.
Yes.
So as a result of that, we had a void in officers on the train.
Well, can you blame them not wanting to take the job when they're not supported by the prosecutors and the judges that very often let criminals back out on the street?
You know, I can't blame him, because when we look at the defund police movement that happened a couple of years ago after the George Floyd incident, it wasn't just New York, but on a national level, there was just this chaotic push against police. But fortunately, the electorate caused a lot of people that were running for election in the Democratic Party to lose these down ballot elections because they supported that defund police mentality. And now we're understanding, our eyes are wide open, and we see that that doesn't work. But we're still at a deficit in policing, and it's just going to take some time to get the staffing levels up to a proportionate level to provide the protections in a place like New York City.
I want to switch to this other case that happened in New York last week of the UnitedHealthcare CEO getting murdered on the street. And the suspect apparently is, or a suspect, we should say, we don't know if he is the one they've been looking for, but a suspect has been captured in Pennsylvania. He matches the description of the suspect that was put out, that we saw a picture of. Now what we're looking at are cops in Central Park in New York City looking for more evidence. Apparently they found over the weekend the backpack that was used by that suspect. What are your views on this? Are you surprised that we were able to capture it? And are you surprised that, in fact, if this is a suspect, he got out of the New York ring that was supposed to keep him in?
I'm surprised that he wasn't captured sooner. I'm surprised that this took so long. And the one thing that law enforcement has to really be careful about, when we go back years ago in the Olympic bombing, there was an individual by the name of Richard Jewell that was placed in front of the cameras as a suspect, and we later found out that he in fact was not the suspect. So as a result, he sued the FBI civilly and won. Now the NYPD is cognizant of this, therefore they're not introducing the name of a suspect, because if they get it wrong, they don't want to be sued. But we're still working on providing as much information as possible to reach that level of probable cause, which is the standard of proof necessary to effect an arrest. I don't believe this individual has been arrested. He is still in custody and he's still being questioned. So it's really going to be determined later on down the line today as to if he in fact is the suspect that will be arrested for this horrific crime.
Lieutenant Darrin Porcher, great to talk to you. Thank you very much for your insight into these breaking news stories. Appreciate it.